What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Music Talks. My name is Brennan, and we are now a couple days away from the Grammys this year. It is the big weekend almost, and I'm excited. I'm pumped. I think it's going to be a super, super cool year. Obviously, we've said this a million times already, but 2024, insane year for music, just a lot of different music. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this stuff turns out. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises. I've even seen kind of the odds and different people predict different things over the last couple of days, which just kind of surprised me. But at this point, the votes are done and they've been locked in, so it's very interesting to see everyone put their predictions out, who they think is going to win. But we're going to get into the second half. We're kind of halfway through, of course, the first part in this. We looked through the really big four categories, the producer categories, pop categories, dance, rap, and now we're getting into country, so we're going to get right into it. There is still a lot to go through, but I stopped before we got to country last time because I think that there's a lot to talk about with the country categories, and it's going to be probably the most difficult year to pick the winner of the country categories, especially just because there's such Grammy favorites in these categories. But on top of that, there's also huge people in here like Beyonce and newcomers like Shabuzi, who has the number one song. So I think that given the state of country and the country trends, that like country is going to be the most unpredictable category set. And I don't think this is a sweep for Beyonce at all. I definitely think she's going to have a much better turnout with these than with the other country award shows. But I still think there's honestly, who knows what's going to happen, but we're going to get right into those. Let's see what the first one is. So there are about four different that are just like main country awards. The first one is Best Country Solo Performance for new vocal or instrumental solo country recordings. So those are 16 Carriages, Beyonce, I Am Not Okay, Jelly Roll, The Architect, Casey Musgraves, A Bar Song, Tipsy, Shabuzi, and It Takes a Woman, Chris Stapleton. So, again, like I said, very, very difficult category. Three Grammy favorites, Casey and Beyonce and Chris, and then you have Shabuzi, who, goodness, I mean, the massive success that he's had. He definitely deserves one of these categories. I've just had a really hard time, more so this year than previous years, because like most all the other country award shows, when Chris Stapleton submits things, he's going to win because he's phenomenal talent. But I honestly think that, like, I don't know. I think if Shabuzi is going to win a category, I don't feel like it is going to be this one. I feel like 16 Carriages is much stronger in the country solo performance category. I don't know, though. I could be wrong, but I really think that Beyonce has the biggest chance in this category for sure, and I would put Shabuzi second, maybe tied with Chris Stapleton for third. Like I said, very difficult, and I don't feel confident in any of my guesses for these categories this year. Best Country Duo or Group Performance. So, like all the other categories, these are usually two solo artists, but in country music we see a lot of duos. So there are a couple of those this year. The first one, Cowboys Cry 2, Kelsey Ballerini and Noah Kahan. Two Most Wanted, Beyonce and Miley Cyrus. Break Mine, Brothers Osborne. Bigger Houses, Dan and Shay. And I Had Some Help, Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. So I really do feel like Post Malone and Morgan have this in the bag. I think that you can almost 100% rule out Kelsey and Noah and Brothers Osborne and Dan and Shay. There's just, they're good songs, but there's just not much impact there, and the three of those didn't really have a lot of pull in the country community at all. I really think it's between Post and Morgan and Beyonce and Miley. I think that given this year, I think Post and Morgan deserve this more. I think it's going to be neck and neck between him and Beyonce for this too. It just really depends on how the voters will still feel about Morgan Wallen and his performance there. I don't know. I'm going to probably say I Had Some Help with Two Most Wanted coming in second. The next one, Best Country Song. So, Songwriter Award, The Architect, Casey Musgraves, A Bar Song, Shabuzi, I Am Not Okay, Jelly Roll, I Had Some Help, Post Malone and Morgan Wallen, and Texas Hold'em, Beyonce. So, I do feel like for this one, it is not likely that Morgan and Post would win. I think that they have much stronger chances in the performance categories than the writing categories. My biggest pet peeve with these is that Casey Musgraves got such a drowned out chances this year just because it's so tough, and her music this year was good, but like, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I see this one going between Shabuzi and Beyonce. Honestly, I think that Shabuzi has a better chance at this one than he does at solo performance. I do. I wish that I could say The Architect because this song is phenomenal and the songwriting is killer. But if I had to pick a third person, unfortunately, it would be Jelly Roll. And I have a lot of thoughts about that. But I just don't think that is happening. I think it's safe to give that one to Shabuzi, and I think that's okay. I'm not against it at all. Another really hard one, Best Country Album. So, Cowboy Carter, Beyonce, F1 Trillion, Post Malone, Deeper Well, Casey Musgraves, Higher, Chris Stapleton, and Whirlwind, Lainey Wilson. Well, first off, I think that fifth spot should go to Megan Moroney because her second album, phenomenal, one of the best country albums of this year. It's just very interesting to see the direction that country music and just everything has gone this year. I really feel like of the categories, Chris Stapleton has the highest chances of winning here. Another one that I'm really surprised is not here is Cody Johnson. I'm really surprised. I don't get the Lainey Wilson hype. I never will, and I think that she's kind of gotten privilege from somewhere, but there's so much out there, and I don't want to see her become like this token person that becomes nominated and wins everything just because. But I think this is between Chris Stapleton and Beyonce. I think Chris Stapleton has a much higher chance because I have a hard time believing they're not going to give Chris Stapleton at least one, if not all the categories. I mean, last year he swept, and many years before that he's also swept his category. So I think it's safe to say that Chris has a really high chance at winning this one. This one, Casey Musgraves is in top 3 of winning chances. However, I don't know. The reception to Beyonce with this is going to be so interesting to see. I don't know about it. I'm going to go with Chris Stapleton on that one for sure. So now we're going to move into the Americana categories, which these are always a toss-up too, and I'm really surprised that we didn't see more of Beyonce presence in these categories. But the Americana roots music field includes bluegrass, blues, folk, and regional roots. So a lot of different sounds and things like that. We've got Blame It on Eve, Shamika Copeland, Nothing in Rambling, The Fabulous Thunderbirds featuring Bonnie Raitt, Keb Mo, Taj Mahal, and Mick Fleetwood, Lighthouse, Sierra Farrell, and The Ballad of Sally Ann, Rihanna Giddens. I think the general public's top choice in this is going to be Sierra Farrell. However, I do think that Nothing in Rambling has the highest chance because, Bonnie Raitt, Keb Mo, Taj Mahal, Mick Fleetwood, like that's such a lineup of Grammy favorites, but also heavily nominated people this year. It's a really cool collaboration. I think that they have that in the bag for sure. Best Americana performance. So this one had 6. Yaya, Beyonce, Subtitles, Madison Cunningham. Don't Do Me Good, Maddie Diaz and Casey Musgraves. American Dreaming, Sierra Farrell. Runaway Train, Sarah Draws. And Empty Trainload of Sky, Jillian Welch and David Rawlings. Yaya, I mean, and rightfully so, because I think Yaya is the best song. Okay, one of the best songs on Cowboy Carter for sure. I really think that Maddie Diaz and Casey do have a chance with this category. Usually things that Casey is featured on do pretty well. I don't know though. You never know. American Roots Song, Ahead of the Game, Mark Knopfler, All in Good Time, Iron and Wine featuring Fiona Apple, All My Friends, Alfie O'Donovan, American Dreaming, Sarah Farrell, and Blame It on Eve, Shamika Copeland. So, I don't know a whole lot about these, but I would venture to say probably All in Good Time. Maybe Sierra Farrell, American Dreaming. She has a much higher chance, I feel like, at the song categories and performances than she does at the album. And speaking of album, we have 6 people for this one for Best Americana Album. The Other Side, T-Bone Burnett. $10 Cowboy, Charlie Crockett. Trail of Flowers, Sierra Farrell. Polaroid Lover, Sarah Jaraz. No One Gets Out Alive, Maggie Rogers. Maggie Rose. I do that all the time whenever I'm talking about Maggie Rose. And Tiger's Blood, Waxahachie. So I definitely think Waxahachie is the general favorite to win here, but I do also feel like Charlie Crockett has a chance at this for sure too. I really do. I think Maggie Rose, that was a really great album. I just don't know if she's going to pull that off. Who knows? Best Bluegrass Album. I'm going to kind of skip through these because I don't know a whole lot about these, but we have Bronwyn Keith Hines, the Del McCoury Band, Sister Sadie, Billy Strings, Tony Triska, and Dan Tyminski. They, especially in bluegrass categories, I feel like they like live albums, so I feel like Dan Tyminski has a chance with his Live from the Ryman, because that's like a historic feat, and people love that kind of stuff. But I do also think that Billy Strings, I mean, everyone loves Billy Strings. I think he has a high chance with this. Best Traditional Blues Album. Cedric Burnside, The Fabulous Thunderbirds, Sioux Faley, Little Feat, and the Taj Mahal Sextet. I'm going to have to get this as Taj Mahal. I've seen a lot about, which I don't know a whole lot about, like I said, most of these nominees. However, Taj Mahal is performing at the, the premiere ceremony, where they do like all the other categories that aren't on the main show. So they're performing, and usually a lot of times I know that they don't know, but I feel like they usually invite people that are going to win to perform. Like last year, Leve performed, and then she won. Who else? I don't know, but they usually do that, and so it's possible for sure. Contemporary Blues Album: Joe Bonamassa, Shamika Copeland, Steve Cropper in the Midnight Hour, Ruthie Foster, Antonio Vergara. I'm going to say Joe Bonamassa on this one. Same reason he's performing, followed by Shamika Copeland for sure. Best Folk Album. So we've got American Patchwork Quartet, Maddie Diaz, Adrian Linker, Alfie O'Donovan, and Jillian Welch and David Rawlings. I think that Adrian Linker has this one in the book, 100%. Maddie Diaz is a close second with Weird Faith. Either one of them, I think, have really, really high chances of winning. Best Regional Roots Musical Album. I don't know anything about these, but Kalani Pe'a, I don't know. I can't pronounce his name, but he is a super cool musician, and he usually wins. So I would be really surprised if he doesn't take that category. Getting into the gospel and contemporary Christian categories. Let's see here. So gospel performance. So that usually is going to intertwine with traditional Christian music, roots gospel, or contemporary gospel singles. And that's Church Doors, Yolanda Adams, Yesterday, Melvin Crispell III. Hold On, Ricky Dillard. Holy Hands, Doe, and One Hallelujah, Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Eric Campbell, and Israel Houghton, featuring Jonathan McReynolds, Jacqueline Carr, and like 10 other people that I'm not going to name. Yolanda Adams or Tasha Cobbs Leonard for sure. Best Contemporary Christian Music Performance. So this is usually worship music, sometimes radio Christian. Holy Forever, Bethel Music. Praise, Elevation, Worship with a bunch of people. Firm Foundation, He Won't. Honor and Glory featuring Disciple. In the Name of Jesus, Jaywalkers, and Maverick City. In the Room, Maverick City, and That's My King, CeCe Winans. Last year, CeCe Winans, I'm pretty sure, like, swept, and I did not expect that at all. I think that this is probably a really, really tight race between Firm Foundation and Praise, based on what I've seen. Holy Forever could have a chance, though, too. I'm going to say those three just because there's 6 nominees in that category. Best Gospel Album. So we've got Melvin Crispell III, Ricky Dillard, Kirk Franklin, Karen Clark Sheard, CeCe Winans. I'm going to give CeCe Winans on this one. And then probably Kirk Franklin as my second choice. Best Contemporary Christian Music Album. Heart of a Human Doe. I've never heard of these people. I'm surprised. I need to look them up. When Wind Meets Fire, Elevation Worship. Child of God, Forrest Frank. Coat of Many Colors, Brandon Lake. And The Maverick Way, Complete. Maverick City Music, Naomi Rain, and Chandler Moore. It's crazy to me that Forrest Frank is in here. Especially he went from Surfaces to this in like a year. But When Wind Meets Fire was the best Christian contemporary album of the year. And I think that they have the highest chance of winning this. Elevation does amazing work. I would say Forrest Frank has the next chance at that for sure. Best Roots Gospel Album. So this is gospel with traditional country, southern gospel, bluegrass, and Americana recordings. It's a lot. I don't know any of these people. I'm going to skip that one. Now we're getting into Latin, global, reggae, and new age ambient or chant. So again, we'll probably skip some of these because, So we have Best Latin Pop Album, Funk Generation, Anita, El Viaje, Luis Fonsi, Garcia, Connie Garcia, Las Mujeres Ya No Lloran, Shakira, and Orquedes Cali Uchis. I apologize for my Spanish because it is bad. I love Latin music though, and I feel like this was definitely a hard contender because I think that Cali Uchis' album was phenomenal, but I do feel like that Shakira is going to take this because the kind of renaissance that Shakira had over the last year was pretty good. The only person I don't want to take this is Anita. I just don't vibe with her music, and I feel like when you compare it to the other 4 nominees, like Luis Fonsi makes the same kind of music, but I still feel like I don't know. I would love to see Cali Uchis take this, but I'm not sure she's going to pull through because the votes for Shakira are going to be very high for sure. Let's see. Moving into Música Urbana album. So this is a different Spanish category. We have Nadie Sabe Lo Que Va a Pasar Mañana, Bad Bunny, Rayo, J Balvin, Ferxo Calypsis, Feed, Las Yetras Ya No Importan, Residente, and ATT by Young Miko. Bad Bunny. I mean, first off, amazing album. Nadie Sabe is one of my favorite Bad Bunny albums. And I feel like if he doesn't get it, it's probably a close race between Feed and J Balvin, honestly. Even though I can't pronounce Feed's album title, I know that they are very, very well liked. So, Latin rock. This is another category that I don't know anything about. But we've got El David Aguilera, Sima Funk, Mon Laferte, Natty Peluso, and Rawiana. I have heard of Natty Peluso, so I'm going to go with that one. Best Música Mexicana album. Man, I'm really showing that I'm from Kentucky right now. So we've got Diamantes, Chiquis, Boca Shakwa, Volume 1, Karin Leon, Isoto, Peso Pluma, and De Lajitos, Jesse Uribe. I'm Peso Pluma, and Karin Leon would be my second choice with that one because there's some categories that the popular people are just going to win, of course. Best Tropical Latin Albums, Mark Anthony, Sheila E., Juan Luis Guerra, 4.40, Tony Sakar and Mimi Sakar, and Kiki Valera. Mark Anthony and Sheila E. are the only two that I know very well. I'm going to go with Sheila E. I do feel like that is very possible. And if not, then I am going to go with Tony Sakar, Mimi Sakar, because it is a live album. And at the Grand Teatro Nacional, I have heard of that. That's a pretty cool thing. I think they have definitely a high chance at that too. Okay, so now we have Best Global Music Performance. This has all kinds of different sounds. The only person that I know in this category, I'm not even going to attempt to read these, is Arouge Aftab. So I'm going to go with Arouge because she is kind of a Grammy favorite in her categories. Best African Music Performance. So we have Tomorrow by Yemi Alade, MMS by Asake and Wizkid, Sensational Chris Brown featuring Davido and Lil J, Higher Burna Boy, and Love Me JJ Tim's. I would love to see Tim's take this, but I don't really know about how they feel about Tim's. Honestly, I think this is a phenomenal song. I don't want to even talk about Chris Brown being here or Chris Brown being in so many categories. Burna Boy, honestly, no. I'm going to say Tim's or Asake and Wizkid. Honestly, I don't feel like Burna Boy is super well liked by the voters. I could be wrong though. Best Global Music Album. This is also a category that always confuses me too because you just pull in a lot of other people that they just don't know where to stick. But we have Alkebulan 2, Matt B featuring the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, Paisajes, Ciro Hurtado, Hais by Rima, Historias de un Flamingo, Antonio Rey, and Born in the Wild by Tim's. My personal pick is, of course, Tim's because that album was like 6 years in the making, took forever, but it was totally worth it. It was a great album. If I had to pick another one, it's going to be Matt B featuring the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra because that's a really cool collaboration for sure. Let us see here. Best Reggae Album. Let's see. We have Vibes Cartel, Carly Boots, Shinsi, Bob Marley Soundtrack, and Evolution, The Wailers. That's difficult because The Wailers... Oh, that's really cool. I'm going to say either the Bob Marley Soundtrack or the Wailers have a high chance at that one for sure. Okay, so we have Best New Age, Ambient, or Chant Album. This is also one that I have absolutely no clue about, and I'm not going to attempt to read these nominees because I will embarrass myself. Okay, so we have Best Children's Music Album. Again, not a whole lot of knowledge on these, but let's see here. I was trying to look at like some of the predictions and like the odds for some of these categories, but like some people don't even predict these categories because they don't know like enough about them. I always try to sit down and like read through them again before I like write out my final guesses, but I have not done that yet. So we have Brillo Brillo by Lucky Diaz and the Family Jam Band, Crescendo by Lucy Kalantari and the Jazz Cats, My Favorite Dream John Legend, Solid Rock Revival, Rock for Children, and Worldwide Playdate, Divinity Rocks and Divi Rocks Kids. Interesting. I don't know. I've heard of 4 of the 5 of these people. I honestly am ventured to say John Legend with this, but who knows? I honestly looking at these and just like thinking about trends with it, I'm really tempted to either say that Brillo Brillo by Lucky Diaz or Crescendo by Lucy Kalantari are gonna win. Just a gut feeling. Okay, best comedy album. This is also a difficult one. We have Armageddon, Ricky Gervais, The Dreamer, Dave Chappelle, The Prisoner, Jim Gaffigan, Someday You'll Die, Nikki Glaser, and Where Was I, Trevor Noah. I don't think Trevor Noah is going to get this because he is the host, and that just doesn't usually work. I don't know. Dave Chappelle has been getting some acclaim recently. I think it's either between Dave and Nikki, and I think that after Nikki did the, I'm not even sure if the Golden Globes were past the voting deadline for the Grammys. They might have been, but I think that she definitely got a lot more publicity off of that. I think she has a chance at this, and it would be cool to see her win it for sure. Okay, so best audiobook, narration, and storytelling record. This is where a lot of people get your EGOT, because you get people that don't make music or in this category. But we have All You Need Is Love, The Beatles in Their Own World by Guy Oldfield. That's actually The Beatles in Their Own Words. That's mistyped. And Your Ass Will Follow, George Clinton. Behind the Scenes, My Life and Rhinestones, Dolly Parton. Last Sunday's In Plains, A Centennial Celebration, Jimmy Carter. And My Name is Barbara, Barbra Streisand. I would venture to give this to Dolly. However, Jimmy Carter, I'd be really surprised if they didn't give Jimmy Carter this award. I don't know, though. You never know. I don't see George Clinton winning this. Could be wrong, but I really think Jimmy Carter or Dolly for sure, because they're Jimmy Carter and Dolly. And, I think if Jimmy Carter wasn't in here, it would be a much, much higher chance for her for sure. So now we're moving into some of my other really, really favorite categories. And this is the ones when we get into visual media and that kind of stuff. So let me see if I can pull these up here. I can't get them to visual media. So these are all really interesting this year too, because with the strike and everything for the film industry and TV, we didn't get things as put out as we normally do. So I feel like there's some very interesting people in here, but also because of the way that the Grammys fall in their eligibility period, we did pick up some people. So best compilation soundtrack, we have The Color Purple, Deadpool and Wolverine, Maestro, music by Leonard Bernstein, Saltburn, and Twisters, the album. This is a lot of, not bad at all. I don't know. I think Deadpool and Wolverine I can almost completely take out because it's not new music. It's just, obviously it's a compilation. I just don't see that winning. I'm going to venture to say this is either going to Twisters or The Color Purple. Maestro made no noise whatsoever. And Saltburn, outside of Murder on the Dance Floor, there's not a whole lot going on with that soundtrack either. So I'm very tempted to lean to The Color Purple, with Twisters very close behind. So moving into Best Score soundtrack for visual media, which includes film and television. So this one is American Fiction. The composer was Laura Kaufman. Challengers, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. The Color Purple, Chris Bowers. Dune Part 2, Hans Zimmer. And Shogun, Nick Chuba, Atticus Ross, and Leopold Ross. I didn't know Atticus Ross was on it. That's cool. Well, I have beef with the Academy for completely shutting out Challengers, Trent, and Atticus from all of the eligible categories for Challengers soundtrack, which is phenomenal. And I know people that don't like Challengers, the movie, and love the soundtrack because it's just so dang good. So, and personal bias aside, I think Challengers has the greatest chance of winning here, and Dune Part 2 coming in second. Of course, Dune is also going to pick up some votes because they were ineligible at the Academy Awards because they had too much recycled sound and music from the OG movie, the original one. So, yeah. But let's see here. Moving into, this is a really new category. I think last year was the first year they did it, and I thought it was so cool. And it is for, what is it for? It is for video game soundtracks, which I think is so cool, because people forget that there's music and scores and stuff that are made in those. And let's see here. We have Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. I've never heard of that. I think that this is probably going to go to Star Wars or God of War. I don't know. Last year Star Wars won, first one ever, as it should have, because the Jedi Fallen Order, or Jedi Survivor, that's the one they won for. That one was a phenomenal soundtrack. I think that God of War might have a little bit of the upper hand on this, but I would love to see Star Wars take this. Avatar also has a chance, but I don't know how the Grammy voters feel about the Avatar franchise as a whole, because this is the first video game entry and all that kind of stuff. So here we have the final category for the movie and TVs. So the first one we have in Best Song Written for Visual Media is Ain't No Love in Oklahoma from Twisters the Album by Luke Combs, Better Place from Trolls Band Together, NSYNC and Justin Timberlake, Can't Catch Me Now from Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Olivia Rodrigo, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, John Batiste, and Love Will Survive, The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Barbra Streisand. I have not heard of that. That is a surprise to me. Well, I would give this to Olivia Rodrigo, because Can't Catch Me Now is a great song, and considering some of the nominations that Olivia has gotten, this is one that she definitely deserves. Luke Combs' song is also really good, but it's just too much tough competition. But because of the big waving flag in this category, which is John Batiste, I would almost 99% guarantee that he's going to win this. And I will take it back if I'm wrong, but John Batiste and his hold on the Grammys is very, very interesting to me. He's a talented guy. However, I just don't understand that. Okay, so now we're moving into some of the last couple categories. We have Best Music Video. We have Taylor Swift by A$AP Rocky, 360, Charlie XCX, Houdini, Eminem, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, and Fortnite, Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. So Taylor made it in this category twice, kind of. 360 with Charlie was the music video that had all the special guests. Taylor Swift, the song, was kind of an underrated song, and I think with A$AP Rocky and his investigations and things right now, people probably did not vote for him. Maybe I'm wrong. Eminem, I also don't really think that he gets a whole lot of recognition. I think that Kendrick definitely has the highest chance of winning this. Kendrick's going to take most of the awards that are not in the Big Four. He may take one in the Big Four too. If not him, then Fortnite. And I'll give it to Taylor and Post. It was a cool video. I think that they have a chance for sure. But I would see it really hard to beat Kendrick for sure. So, Best Music Film, we have American Symphony, John Batiste, June Carter Cash, Kings from Queens, Run DMC, Steven Van Zandt, Disciple, Steven Van Zandt, and The Greatest Night in Pop. Again, John Batiste. If he doesn't win, again, I'll be surprised. I've seen a lot of promotion and campaigning for June Carter Cash for June, and I think that is a very cool project, and it would be really cool to see that one win. But again, John Batiste. Okay, so we're moving into Best Recording Package. So this is more about the art direction of like the physical media and how things are put out. There's 7 people in this one. We have the Avett Brothers, Baker Hotel, William Clark Green, Brat, Charlie XCX, F1 Trillion, Post Malone, Hounds of Love, The Baskerville Edition, Kate Bush, Jug Band Millionaire, The Muddy Basin Ramblers, and Pregnancy, Breakdown, and Disease by I Who. Don't know that one. Brat. I think Brat definitely has a chance. Of course, she's not going to get the win for this. The art directors do, but I think the packaging and just how it all worked out is very interesting. And if not that one, then I would say probably Kate Bush. Could be wrong. I don't know a whole lot about these. No. I'm going to take that back. Instead of Kate Bush, I'm going to say the Avett brothers. For sure. Avett or Charlie. Best boxed or special limited edition package. So we have Half Living Things, Alpha Wolf, Hounds of Love, The Boxes of Lost at Sea, Kate Bush, In Utero, Nirvana, Mind Games, John Lennon, Unsuck Chin by Unsuck Chin and Berliner Philharmoniker, and We Blame Chicago, 90 Day Men. This is the one that I would venture to say Kate Bush has a higher chance at. If not her, then Nirvana. But I think it's super cool that they do that. I think it's cool they do categories like that. Like, there's absolutely no reason to not celebrate even that kind of stuff in music. So, best album notes. Let's get in here. Also, I think that's really cool that they do that. Let's see here. Best album notes. We have After Midnight for Dabney's Syncopated Orchestras, the Carnegie Hall Concert, Alice Coltrane, Centennial, King Oliver Creel's Jazz Band and Various Artists, John Coolshaw, The Art of the Producer, The Early Years, 1948 to 55, John Coolshaw, and Soundtrack, Original, De La Pellicula, Al Son de Bueno, Various Artists. I would say that John Coolshaw probably has a really big chance at this, and then the Carnegie Hall Concert. Best Historical Album, we have Centennial, King Oliver Creel's Jazz Band and Various Artists, Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe Edition, Prince and the New Power Generation, Paul Robeson, Voice of Freedom, His Complete Collection, Paul Robeson, Pepito y Paquito by Pepe de la Lucha, and Paco de Lucha, The Sound of Music, Original Soundtrack Recording, Super Deluxe Edition. Well, that's cool. I would venture to say either The Sound of Music or Centennial for sure. All right, Best Engineered Album Non-Classical. So an engineer award. So Algorithm, Lucky Day, Simon Blue, Charlotte Day Wilson, Deeper Well, Casey Musgraves, Empathogen Willow, I.O. Peter Gabriel, and Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter. I think Sabrina has probably got that one on lock. I would like to see Lucky Day take that one. I think he has also a high chance. Or Willow, Empathogen for sure. I think Short and Sweet kind of has that though. Best Engineered Album Classical. I don't know much about these. We have Adams, Girl of the Golden West, Andreas the Blind Bannister, Bruckner, Symphony No. 7, Betis Resurrexit, Clear Voices in the Dark, and Ortiz Revolution Diamantia. I have not heard of any of these people, so I need to look into that one as well. All right, so we're getting into our last couple of categories. Let's see. Producer of the Year Classical. Morton Lidberg is the only one that I've heard of, so I'm going to go with that one. Best Immersive Audio Album. We have Avalon, Roxy Music, Genius Loves Company, Ray Charles with Various Artists, Henning Samaro Borders, Trondheim Symphony, I.O. Inside Mix, Peter Gabriel, and Pax, Ensemble 96, and Current Saxophone Quartet. I would venture to say I.O. by Peter Gabriel. I've heard a lot about this one for sure. So, what have we got next? Okay. Best Instrumental Composition. We're going to skip that one. Best Arrangement, Instrumental, or A Cappella. Bridge Over Troubled Waters by Jacob Collier is in here. He's definitely got that for sure. I would be surprised if him with Tori Kelly and John Legend. It's a good song. Second, I would say Scott Hoying has a chance at this. I would honestly venture to say Scott Hoying has a bigger chance, but I don't know. I'm actually going to go back to the instrumental composition one because we have I Swear I Really Wanted to Make a Rap Album, but this is literally The Way the Wind Blew Me this time by Andre 3000. I would be surprised if he doesn't win that. So we're getting to Best Arrangement, Instrumental, and Vocals. Sahe featuring Regina Carter, John Legend, Willow, the 8-Bit Big Band, and Cody Fry. Big Feelings by Willow, and then Sahe featuring Regina Carter in second is my next category. Let's see here. I'm going to skip through a lot of these classical because I don't know much about opera, and I'll be honest there. I need to look into those. Same thing with classical albums, classic instrumental. So there's honestly a lot of representation for classical, which is really good because, like I said, we don't hear a whole lot about it. And it's not necessarily something that I would go out of my way to listen to all the time, but I might actually enjoy it. Classical compendium, contemporary classical compendium, that rounds it out. There are a lot of people that are recognized in that, which I think is really, really cool. Yeah, and that's all of the categories. I still think that every year they should be adding a couple more, maybe changing a couple up, seeing how the wind blows. I think that there's definitely things that can always change and improve on. But I think we have a really good set of categories. And yeah, we've gotten through all of them. So I've got to go make my final predictions, write them all down, and the Grammy premiere ceremony, I believe, starts at 2:30 Central Time on Sunday. So that is going to be where they go through all of these categories that are not going to be on TV, and then the red carpet will be kind of during and after that, and then we'll go into the main show that night where there's going to be all kinds of stuff. I know they've been announcing the performers. We've got like almost all of the best new artist nominees performing, which is insane. We don't get that very often. A lot of legendary. We've got some surprises that I've heard that we're going to get. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm super excited for this year's Grammys, and next week we will pick back up and talk about the performances, the awards. Hopefully we see some good stuff. There's always going to be surprises every year, no doubt in my mind. But definitely celebrate the rest of this week, look into some new music, even some things that maybe you didn't think you liked, give them another chance, especially with this, and be sure to tune in to the Grammys on CBS. I will see you next week when we talk about the recap of the Grammys, and I'm already super excited to do that part. Until then, this is Music Talks. Thanks for tuning in.